transition. I think most of the people in the room know you as the pioneering force of right selection, as the founder of this remarkable business. But something that many people don't know about you is that many years ago you were involved in another family business which you actually left to come here and eventually start a new family business. So tell us about your experience.
Yeah, that's true. I think hardly anybody here knows about that side. So in fact, we're going to share some secrets today.
Yeah.
Yeah, this goes back to the 90s when I had to take a bold decision. This is moving away from the comfort of a family business that had been running for over 30 years in Europe and West Africa. And the reason was that over a period of time, what I'd noticed was as the family members grew, the cousins joined the business. So there were more family members within the company, whereas the company wasn't expanding at the same pace. I could then see that without growth and expansion, we would not have room for other members. I could see my two sons were at university, they'd soon graduate, and if there wasn't room for them, then it would be really tight. The reason we are not expanding again being in places like Africa where there were issues to do with political problems, economic issues, so always there's a hesitancy in expansion and reinvesting. I said rather than sort of try to change the situation here, one way out is to actually step out, maybe go to another country and try something different, and that's what brought me to Dubai.
And at that point, did you know that you were going to, build the foundations of a new family business? Were you planning for the next generations, or did it just happen as you went along?
The business that I started actually was based again on my passion for self-development. So something totally different from the earlier business, which was to do with general merchandise, distribution, and bulk sales. So this was different. And being in the learning space, at that time, what I gauged from the marketplace was that perhaps we are a bit too early for the market. This is like 25 years ago. So I could not see the road ahead very clearly. It was like, go for it with your passion because you believe in it. And then as we evolve, we could maybe see how the room is created, the platform created for them to fit in. It wasn't a rule for me in my mind that they would actually join the business if there wasn't room, or if they did not, if they prefer to do something else. So I left that option quite open.
I'm actually going to ask you that question now. Did you always know that you're going to eventually graduate from university and join the family business? Was it a conscious decision?
Well, I would say culturally as a family, you always think about joining the family business, but I would definitely have wanted experience, which I was encouraged. In fact, after graduation, my dad encouraged me. He said, go and travel, to other parts of the world. So I traveled to the Far East. I traveled around Europe to where different family members had businesses, just to spend time outside the family business. So deep down inside, yes, there was a desire to join the family business, but I definitely wanted to have external exposure around the world in different parts of the world before joining the family business to be more sure of that.
And do you think Gautam has brought in a new style of working, a breath of fresh air after he joined?
I always believe that the next generation of young people always have fresh energy, new ideas, and these should be encouraged. But more importantly, what I found he actually proved was certain principles or approaches I had learned in the past, which I had not been able to fully apply. So maybe I can share 3 of these with you. One is to do with perseverance. Again, in business, you have to try till you succeed. And I saw that in Gautam, that he really went or still goes all out after every transaction, every client, every project or possibility till he succeeds. And 80% of the time he comes up with the positive results. So that he has proved that perseverance really works. The other one is about thinking outside the box. I've always believed that you need to do something different, something unique, and that's how you could stand out. So again, Gautam always came up with new ideas, new concepts, which really worked and made a difference to the company's bottom line. And the last one is relationships. I think we've spoken a lot about relationships during the day with us also. Relationships worked a lot. He devotes a lot of time building, nurturing relationships, and these are actually relationships or friendships, you can call them, and they do make a big difference. Even in the times when things are going well, then you sort of still progress much faster. In difficult times, challenging times, again, they come into play to help you sustain your growth and keep going. And maybe Gautam can share, we got special relationships with our speakers, which makes a difference to the way we are
I think throughout the day, a theme has emerged about people and the importance of the people, you know, within your business. And for you, I think it's both ways, because you're also dealing on the outside with professional speakers. And so tell us about your experience.
Yeah, I mean, you know, our business, when it started off 23 years ago here in Dubai, it started off just as a bookshop. And then from a bookshop, we said, okay, what's next? Let's bring the authors of these books live. And we started interacting with international high-profile speakers, bringing them to this region. And as Dad had mentioned, one of the key factors is relationships. And where I would say what's unique about running a family business is relationships is a core part of any successful family and successful family business as well. So in the same context, we built those personalized relationships with global thought leaders who it's not just that they come for an event, they know us on a very personal level. Speakers like Marshall Goldsmith, Tony Buzan, Ron Kaufman, to name a few, where we have that personalized relationship with each of them. And we've developed relationships both internally with suppliers, with vendors, and that's been a key component, as I said, during the ups and downs that you go through in business.
Ram, I'm going to be a little cheeky and I'm going to put you on the spot now. Has there ever been a situation where Gautam, for instance, has made a bad decision, if we can call it, and do you think that your approach to handling that was different because he was your son?
I cannot, I mean, in our thinking we are a lot aligned, so I cannot think of any sort of major differences. But of course, as human beings, or even if it's family, there is a difference in thinking. And what I can share with you is the differences we've had is again to do with our working style or nature, where Gautam, being maybe the driving force or a bit more aggressive, he tends to go almost after all the opportunities that he comes across, you know. He wouldn't let go of anything. In my case, I'd stop, I'd screen, I'd think, I'd evaluate, and this is where we have our differences sometimes. But then again, it's if there are issues like that, we take it back to our senior team and we get their views, and there is no ego issue. If we got to change our mind, he agrees with me or I agree with him, and we just move forward.
On the other side, Gautam, do you feel you have an immense pressure on you because you're constantly having to live up to the expectations of the previous generation?
Well, fortunately, as we shared earlier, this particular business I pretty much joined 2-3 years after it had started.
Right.
So I'd say that we have collaboratively grown the business together from a bookstore to an event company to now being a leading speakers bureau in the region. So the business has evolved year on year, and I wouldn't see that in terms of we've grown it together in that context. So that pressure I haven't felt. Having said, in terms of moving forward, it would be my dream to ensure that what my dad started as a bookshop, and that business has evolved into becoming, you know, creating a learning community in the region. It's something I would like to continue and grow. And I think when you're as passionate as we both are as a family about learning and creating a learning environment, that drive is there within you, then I think that removes the pressure, and that is an incentive to grow continuously.
Looking back at your journey, Ram, what were some of the biggest challenges to building a family-owned business?
As I shared earlier on, when I started the business, because we were in a space which was quite new at that time, so I wasn't too sure how the business would grow and evolve. It was just moving with faith. And at that time, the learning space was companies were quite happy once their balance sheet showed a profit. They said, we're doing well, we don't need to learn, we don't need to develop, we don't need to train. Individuals had jobs, they were secure. Again, the incentive for personal development wasn't yet on the scene. So I wasn't too sure. That was a challenge, that have I taken the right decision? How long will it take to grow? Will it take off? How big will it be? So those doubts were there in the mind, but fortunately it worked well. And the other point is that, as you said, having evolved, it has taken us to where we are now. There's a second part of your question I'd like to answer.
You tell me how, is there a special advantage that you think that came in because you're working with a family member?
Again, with a family member, yes, they say culturally or traditionally, there are points that figure in. One is to do with the trust factor. It's again easy to be more transparent and discuss long-term goals and plans if it's within the family. And then the other one is the commitment. Now we see a commitment coming because there's a common goal, a family goal. What's good for the family, what's good for the company, it's just common. So the commitment doesn't have to be built in, just comes naturally. And the third one is loyalty. Again, generally with the family member, you expect that loyalty to be there. I mean, somebody would stay on over the years. You don't expect somebody to just leave after 2 years or 3 years because some other opportunity came up. So those 3 points do help, do make a difference.
In today's first session, we heard family first, business second. Do you agree? Is that a mantra you live by? Or is it the other way around?
It's something that's got to be balanced. You cannot sort of take A or B. I think if you take A and drop B, then that suffers and then it bounces back. So I think you've got to find the right balance. Both are equally important, which means that if the family unity is there, well, the business is not doing well, it's still sort of incomplete, and vice versa. So I'd still say that you cannot drop A or B. They both are equally important.
What do you
That's
think
my
of
view.
Yeah, no, it's whether you call it tough love. Family first, business second. It's very difficult to agree or to say the opposite. To me, they are equally important, and you've got to find that right balance. You've got to play to the strengths of the family being together and working in a family environment to be able to drive a successful business. But I wouldn't want to say that because on a personal level, family is first on a personal level. But if you take a business stance, then you want to make sure that you don't compromise on your business because of, let's say, the family side of things. So I think equally balanced from a business perspective is important.
I know you touched upon this earlier, but a little bit, but tell us more about, now that you're the driving force of right selection,
Yeah.
where do you want to take it and where do you see it moving forward in the next, say, 5 years? And how aligned do you think you are with the vision that was initially set out?
Well, the vision that was set out from the beginning was always about growing a learning community and bringing the world's best speakers to the region. That was where it started. I'd say that where the business has evolved, as I said, when it started off as a bookshop to becoming a seminar organizer, bringing into a speakers bureau, now being the leading speakers bureau in the region. Now that diversification, so the next step moving forward is about how do we replicate that in other parts of the world. So I was recently in Singapore at the HR Summit. We had Marshall Goldsmith there, and now we're looking at opportunities of replicating the business model that we have here in Asia, and at the same time Africa. So these are the two areas, in fact, that we are already in conversation with. So within the next 12 to 18 months, I'd say that's breaking news here, in the sense it's just up and coming, that in the next 12 to 18 months we look to replicate the business model that we have here in the Gulf, in Africa, East, West Africa and South Africa, and then Singapore, Hong Kong as well.
So before we wrap up, Ram, I'd like to leave you with the last question. What is 2 or 3 key takeaways that you'd like to share with the audience today fellow family business owners or even SME owners?
I think one key point that came up in earlier presentations was that in family businesses, it is important to also engage professionals, because when you think that within the family we've got enough skills and we can sort of progress and move forward, I think there's a flaw over there. The assistance of professionals is very important, so engaging professionals, which we didn't do early on, but if we had done that earlier on, it would have made a significant difference in our growth. So I think that's a key point for me. Professionals definitely make a big difference to your
And
growth.
corporate governance, hiring board of
Yes.
directors, yeah.
Yes, having the board of directors, getting sort of them involved, then definitely is important.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a great session. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Please, a huge round of applause for Ram and Gautam.